Your Bachmann train is a precision-engineered scale model, and like any fine piece of equipment, it will run best after several hours of actual operating time. It will also operate best under clean operating conditions, so care must be taken in maintaining your train.
Clean track and clean wheels ensure good electrical contact. After about every 8 hours of operation, wipe the track rails and exposed portions of your locomotive's wheels with a soft, lint-free cloth. The removal of a black residue is normal. Do not use steel wool to clean your track, since its metal fibers will damage your locomotive. If your track should become very dirty and dull-looking, clean it with one of the recommended track cleaners available at your local hobby retailer. Common solvents are not recommended since they may damage plastics. After cleaning, be sure your track is free from lint, fiber, and loose materials which may be drawn into the motor.
After every 24 hours of operation, your locomotive needs light lubrication to remain in top operating condition. Lubricants must be used under adult supervision.
You must use a plastic-compatible hobby-quality lubricant. For best results, we highly recommend Bachmann's Easy Lube brand of professional lubricants. It's important to choose the appropriate lubricant for each job. Easy Lube is available as light gear oil, heavy gear oil, grease, and conductive contact lube to cover all your hobby lubricating jobs. If you're in doubt as to which lubricant to use, visit or call your local hobby retailer for assistance.
When applying lubrication, restraint is the key to a lifetime of operating enjoyment. Over-lubrication will in fact hurt your locomotive, so a light touch is required.
We're going to review the lubrication procedure on these diesel and steam locomotives. The steps we take can be generalized to many different locomotives, with the basics being to apply a small amount of lubrication to all motor bearings, additional bearing surfaces, and, in the case of steam locomotives, to all exterior operating valve gear.
Okay, we're going to start by lubricating this diesel engine. Each locomotive disassembles slightly differently, and each one comes with an exploded diagram to give you specific details. This particular locomotive has a shell that spreads to the side, which allows us to drop the frame out. So there's the shell off, and here's the frame. You can see the motor, and under here, the gears, and in here, you can see the worm gear. So what we're going to lubricate is the worm gear, the gear train, and we're going to put a little conductive lubricant on the drivers. So we'll take our light gear lubricant and we'll put a little bit on the worm gear. Now, this split in the frame is hard to see, but we can put this needle point oiler in here and get oil on the rear worm. Now we'll turn the locomotive over and we'll put a little lubricant, a little light gear lube on each of these gears. Just a drop will do. Too much is worse than none at all. The action of the gears will carry it through. Now we're going to put just a drop of gear grease. The gear grease is usually more solid, but the studio lights are melting this. But still, you can see that it just takes a little dab on each of the gears. And that too will work through as the locomotive operates. And the last thing we'll do for this diesel is get our conductive lubricant. This will increase the power pickup. Now, this particular diesel has traction tires on the rear wheels, so we don't want to get lubricant on those. Put a drop on each of the other wheel treads. We'll complete the procedure. So we'll put this on the track. We'll replace this piece of tape. Wipe your fingers off and snap the shell back in. And this locomotive is ready for 24 more hours of service. This is our Spectrum 280. Real steam locomotives were quite a bit more complicated than the diesels, and it's the same with the models. We are going to do the same basic lubrication we did to the diesel with a couple of additions, notably all of these moving valve gear parts, and in the case of this steam locomotive, a bearing on the motor, which is covered by this little cap in the back. Here's the cap, and here's the bearing. So we'll take a drop of light gear lubricant, a very tiny drop, and put it on the motor bearing. And now we'll turn the locomotive over. Here you can see the gears. We'll put a drop of light gear lubricant here and here. We will put a little gear lubricant behind each driver. Where the bearings support the axle. Okay, and now on each side, every place the metal valve gear rubs or rotates or moves, we need a tiny drop of the light gear oil. Now again, too much lubrication is a bad thing. So we're going to do these moving parts, turn the locomotive around, and do the same parts on the other side. Don't forget the crosshead and the crosshead guides. Every place metal rubs against metal. Okay, now we've gotten that done, and we will get our grease and a toothpick. Again, just a little dab of grease. The action of the locomotive will carry it through. And the last step will be conductive lubricant. We will put the conductive lubricant on each wheel tread. Also, we're going to put it on the wheels on the tender because they pick up as well. And that's all there is to it. You shouldn't really have to disassemble these locomotives to do any lubrication. On a complicated locomotive like this, if you feel that more maintenance is necessary inside, it might be a good idea to call the service department. But there it is. So that's how long it takes, nothing to it. And with this, you'll be ready to operate again for another 24 hours. Now you're ready to really start having fun with your Bachmann train. With proper setup, regular maintenance, and sensible operation, you'll enjoy your train set for many years to come.
To help you expand your railroad empire, Bachmann's Spectrum and Standard lines offer a complete selection of separate sale motive power, freight and passenger cars, buildings, track, and accessories. If you want more information on N-scale model railroading, check the following resources. And be sure to visit www.bachmanntrains.com regularly to see what's new in Bachmann's world of model railroading.
Thanks again for choosing a Bachmann set. Enjoy your trains.